Hello everyone, this is the joy of reading. Franz Kafka is one of my favorite writers, and I often come across inaccurate videos and articles about him that say things like he was a social misfit, he and his father hated each other, he had a meaningless job in a small office, he spent his time all alone, whining, and so on. And no, it is simply not like that. That doesn't mean that Kafka was a happy-go-lucky person, but he was also not like many cliches describe him. So I decided to make some debunking about Kafka. Kafka was born in Prague in 1883, the son of a successful retailer named Hermann Kafka and of his wife Julie Löwe. He had three sisters, Valli, Elli and Otla, and two younger brothers who, however, died during childhood. As a consequence, he was the only son. His father, who had started as a poor man and had become quite successful and rich, hoped that his only son would take over the family shop and continue the family tradition. Now, let's go to the first cliché. Kafka and his father hated each other or something like that. Kafka and his father had very different personalities. Quiet, insightful, and somehow dreamy the former, loud, down-to-earth, boastful, and not very interested in art and literature, the latter. They had different worldviews. The father thought about being successful and making money as a merchant, and the son wanted to write and have a not demanding job which could give him spare time for literature. So Kafka refused to oblige to his father's professional plans and took another job. His father wasn't happy, that's it. But he didn't banish him from the house, disown him or something like that. Yes, Kafka was in awe, and yes, such a relationship would nowadays probably sound abusive, but that happened more than 100 years ago with different societies and with different relationships between parents, especially fathers and children, and we shouldn't forget that. They were just two people with very different personalities and goals who had trouble understanding each other and argued often, but that doesn't mean hate. By the way, it suffices to read Kafka's autobiographical letter to my father to understand it. Second topic, work. Yes, Kafka was formerly a clerk, but that doesn't mean that he worked in a small office typewriting all day. Except for a couple of years after his law graduation, Kafka worked at the Worksman Accident Insurance Institute, an important insurance institute in Prague. He was responsible for a large industrial region in the northern part of Bohemia, a region whose industries were rapidly growing. There were lots of glass and stone quarrying firms, machine building firms, so factories where accidents were common. A part of his job was the rating of these industries. One had to study the number and gravity of accidents, as well as the dangerousness associated with a specific firm and job, and then to indicate a proportioned insurance premium for these firms. Of course, the firms could appeal against these ratings, and then Kafka had to contest the appeals and to do sometimes tribunal hearings and so on. His other task was accident prevention, so he had to perform inspections of these industries, including machines, and to promote safety on the workplace. So his job required not only legal but also technical and statistical knowledge, and yes, he complained about it. He would have preferred to write all the time, but that doesn't mean that he was just typewriting all day or something like that, and that doesn't mean that he wasn't appreciated by his superiors. On the contrary. So this is just the first part of debunking. I will do a second part, and these are the sources that I used for this first part. So Franz Kafka's Letter to My Father, then 2 books by Rainer Stach, This is Kafka and Kafka the Early Years, and then 2 books about Kafka's job, Kafka in the Light of the Accident by Howard Cagel, and Kafka the Office Writings by Stanley Korngold and Jack Greengrass. Thank you for listening.